And welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I am your host, WIZE. My next guest, I actually had the honor of meeting him in person 2 years ago at Podfest. We've definitely we've hung out a couple of times on a couple of events. He's a fellow podcaster. He's a public speaker. I'm excited to have him on the show. Welcome to the show, Sam Mitchell.
Hey, good to be here. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Sam? How you doing, brother?
Hey, not too bad, not too bad.
All right, so let's jump right into it, man. So, like I said, I got the honor to meet you and your mom 2 years ago at Podfest, and you have a podcast, but you I love your energy and I love what you do. Tell people why why is your podcast special? Because I love it. I've listened to quite a few episodes, man. What made you get into podcasting?
Well, it started when I joined my high school's media club, and I fell in love with it so much that I decided to start my own podcast in my junior year of high school because I saw, oh crap, time's ticking. I'm not gonna be a senior in high school forever. So I thought the best way to continue these skills was to start my own podcast, which was Autism Rocks and Rolls, which is pretty much everywhere you can find it on. And just out of curiosity for you, Will, I'm always curious because I like to know which episodes you listen to. It's just out of a curious state of
The one
mind.
with the MMA fighter.
All right. Yep. I know which one that is.
Yeah, that Daniel. Was it Purdy? Right,
Pewter.
Pewter. Yeah, yeah, and how he talked about how him being bullied and everything, and so I'm gonna check a few more out. I really enjoyed that episode, but can you share your personal journey with autism and how it's shaped your perspective on life?
Yeah, the way it shaped me in my life is in retrospect, probably think a little more out of the box more than the average male. And then I just lack some certain social skills. I'm not a guy who likes to do big conversations. I mean, this is fine, don't get me wrong. But add 10 people, then it's like, holy crap.
But you're doing public speaking now.
I know, it's crazy. The reason why is I'm in control in the audience. Like when I'm on stage, I can control, hey, can you move here for a sec? Let's do this interactive thing now. I can kind of play boss.
Yeah.
But if I go, okay, when we're at Podfest, clearly it's definitely fun, but it was also a little nerve-wracking because there's a lot of people there, yet I have no control over anything. I'm literally just a person learning. I'm one of you guys. I'm one of the people below the stage.
Yeah. So what are some of the common misconceptions of high functioning autism and how do you address them?
Some of the misconceptions that are on the high function of the autism spectrum is that we're not capable of anything, that we're ridiculed, we got that weird disease. And truth be told, I don't want to say they're correct, but we are a little mysterious, I think, at points. But that being said, if you look at us when we're doing something else, you might see a completely different side from the what you're thinking.
I know what you mean. My grandson Prince, he's autistic, and he's 6 years old, and he's still learning how to speak, and he's finally saying his ABCs. But when you put him in front of a puzzle, he's phenomenal.
Oh
Like
my
you get
God, I want to be your
you
grandson already.
like you put him in front of a puzzle, and he puts it together like nothing. My wife got him this year for Christmas this paper kind of thing that where you could scratch it off and make designs, and some of the drawings that he did were amazing, and it's like I know the struggles we've gone with him because we know it's kind of difficult to communicate with him, but he's so talented and so gifted that it's amazing.
That's part of the stigma right there. Though you say he's learning his ABCs, yet he can draw a puzzle. Yet he's a mastermind at a puzzle.
Yeah,
That's something. Why are we looking at the fact that he can't do his ABC? or learning his ABCs. Why can't we look at, oh my God, he just made a puzzle in about 0.5 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he tears them up, man. We got him a bunch of puzzles for Christmas and everything. So it's great to see him really opening up now as he gets older and everything. So can you just discuss the importance of neurodiversity and inclusive communities?
Well, the importance to me for neurodiverse and inclusive communities is they need to exist because people like your grandson or myself, they need a space for I don't know how to say it, a world that's not, in my opinion, built for us. There's some great things about the world. Don't get me wrong. There's some lovely aspects, but there's some stuff I look at and it's just like, why? Why do we go there or why do we do this? I don't get why in the world at the time we can't be so blunt and people's feelings get hurt. It's not me being me, it's just, me telling the truth.
Sometimes people can't handle the truth.
Right. And that's why I'm like, where does that logic come in? That's what I'm trying to get at though, is this world was not made for me. So I need spaces where, oh, okay, this world is made for me. I need to be with people who get that these quirks are not me being impulsive, rude, or a threat to society.
Absolutely. So what advice would you give to individuals with autism who are navigating social interactions and relationships? Because
Well,
I've seen you at work. I've seen you at work at Podfest, and I've seen you on on SJ Childs Bradford's um event that she had this year, and you seem to navigate through this pretty well. What would you advise other uh, other people?
well, I mean, it depends on what it is, but I don't get asked that. I've asked that question
Yeah.
too on my podcast with all the other people. It's one of my keeper questions. So to be asked that, not a bad question. I'm just saying it's very strange. I'm on the receiving end. Very strange to be on the
It's
receiving end of that question.
yeah.
But in all seriousness, my advice, actually a couple pieces. If you're on a spectrum, you haven't been able to find your people or whatever you can't find, there's something out there. There's a million things in this world. It's not like we're all addicted to podcasting. There's more out there than podcasting. We
Mhm.
got nature, we got cooking, hunting, we got fishing, professional wrestling. I mean, there are tons of stuff out there that are can be. I don't want to say a yeah, I'll say why not a fixation. Which means like some special interest, which is something that we love and love and love to do, where you can pretty much talk about it all the time.
So I saw that we have something in common that we both truly do love. I am a huge wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling fan since I was a little kid, since I was 5, 6 years old. And I know you're a big, huge wrestling fan. What got you into wrestling?
I'm probably it's a boring story. I'm not like fancy about it, but I literally was just scrolling through the channels,
Yeah.
found wrestling. Oh my gosh, this is incredible! It was probably the move set, and probably now looking back at it as an adult, I still like it because of a couple of reasons. So with professional wrestling in particular, there's a difference between obviously UFC, MMA, and
Yes.
WWE. UFC, it's and boxing. UFC, MMA, and boxing, it's just punches and kicks. Don't get
Hmm.
me wrong, it's entertaining, but after a while I'm like, enough punches and kicks. Go over the top rope. Do something else special. With wrestling, there's punches and kicks, but there's
Yes.
also holds like UFC. There's also throws. You can throw them with a bile throw. There's diving over the top rope or diving off the top rope. There's more to it too. It's not just wrestlers being wrestlers. It's athletes. They're
Yeah.
theater performance. It's
Hmm.
a show.
It
It's
is.
creating over the top, amazing characters. There's so much that goes into it. And a lot of people on the spectrum, in my opinion, like things that are not just, oh, here you go. That's probably the reason why I like, one of the reasons also why I like broadcasting is it's not just a one step day where it's like, record, boom, oh, let's publish it out. No, there's more to that than just clearly, here you go.
Yeah, it is. That's why I love wrestling, because of it tells a story. They tell a story with each match, and I've I remember my brother taking me to Madison Square Garden when I was a little kid. That to me was one of that's what really got me into loving wrestling, was going to a live event and seeing it firsthand, and seeing some of the greats, because I'm much older than you. So seeing some of the greats perform, and then now with I feel like this generation of wrestling is actually kind of on par with everybody's saying, which is the greatest era of wrestling, which is the Attitude Era. I like the way this era of wrestling is going.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I just think, in my opinion, with each era it goes, you're gonna have its pros and cons. With
Hmm.
the Attitude Era, I think it was a little more. You could do things out of the box that you clearly want to get in trouble for. Clearly,
Yeah.
today, if you got in a tank and drove to a company, people would be like, "What the heck?"
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely more PC than anything else now. Because back in the Attitude Era, they were they were doing some wild stuff, definitely. So how do you manage sensory sensitivities and daily challenges associated with autism?
Oh boy, sensory. Let's get into that. So, the sensory issues that I have in particular are, there are some out there that are not gonna be pretty to see. I mean, my a lot of those on spectrum do have sensory issues, but
Yeah.
what's strange is it's different kryptonites.
Hmm.
For some, it could be texture. For some, it's taste. For some, it's smell. For some, it's feeling. Mine happens to be feeling. I'm not a guy who will wear a wet T-shirt. The T-shirt gets wet, it's coming off.
For my grandson, it's no it's sound, it's noise. It's
Yep,
like,
and sound. That's another one I didn't mention.
yeah, sound. It's sound for my grandson. It really freaks him out. So yeah, that for like you said, for everyone it's different. And like we bought him it's a toy car that he could actually sit in, and he would not sit on it because it would make noise when it moves. So, but we got, as we learned, we realized, like, okay, we can't get him there's certain toys we can't get him, and there's certain things that we can't get him because of the sensory issue.
Right, right, and it's definitely an issue for me that is prevalent to my life every day. There's some days, honestly, where I'm thinking if I didn't have to go out when it rained, I'd be happier than a dog half the time. Part of me sometimes was like, if it's raining, I'd rather just wear a poncho.
Yeah, I don't like wear clothes, so I can imagine. So, what role do you believe education plays in promoting autism awareness and acceptance?
Education, it needs to be out there, number one, for sure. But two, the education is, in my opinion, that it's better than what it once was, because now we can go to public school. Back in 1950s, 60s, we were either institutionalized or in a special school. Okay,
Yeah.
clearly we're not there anymore. We're in with everyone else. There's
Mhm.
special education classrooms. I acknowledge that, but
Yes.
here's the problem. They, I would say that they're not accepting still. Yet I had amazing staff members, had an amazing school with special needs. I highly recommend it because these staffs, they're amazing. But here's where the kicker comes in. I got bullied and not accepted from the students. They were aware of it, but they sure as heck weren't accepting. I think even sometimes the adults were aware of it, and they were accepting clearly, maybe just with age, but not the students. So, in my opinion, as a whole as a society, we are aware of it, and but not accepting of it.
Well, then, yeah, because then now, but now you have events like SJ Childs, that she the second year in a row she's held an event to help with autism awareness and everything. are these events that are something that you really, I can imagine you really, and you really love doing these because it brings awareness to autism. But how do you feel that some other people, like, I'm always a part of those, that because again, like I said, my grandson, and it's special place for me. So when we got connected, and I was like, I gotta have you on my show. It was for personal reasons, because this is something that's s- special and dear to me, because I love my grandson. He's my shining light, and so to be able to sit down and talk to you about this, and what can we do, what more can we do to help bring awareness to this?
Well, truth be told, honestly, as a society, we need to get over why I say these quirks are not as being impulsive, rude, or whatever the case. Me not wearing a T-shirt, it's not me saying, "Oh, to heck with the rules. I ain't doing that." No, it's like, no, I
Yeah.
I cannot handle it. It's not me being a rule breaker. I think we need rules in society, duh.
Yes.
But there's some, I think, ones that are like, what the heck? And clearly, one of those is, oh, you still wear a wet T-shirt and when it's raining. I get why you do it clearly, but how are we supposed to handle it when neurologically we cannot? I learned the other day from one of the previous episodes where Megan Priest got an actress in the United Kingdom. There's actually a reason why, or a theory. So it's kind of interesting. So as we grow up, when you're first born and you're a child or a baby, even they have these weird sensitive sensory issues or these weird social dynamic issues. Clearly, right?
Yeah.
Like clearly you don't like wearing the socks. They don't text back first. You're the friend. You're out. Or your friend gives you a, you get your clothes wet, or the socks are sensitive, or there's just something going on with your hair wet and you just can't handle it, or just you don't like the taste of yogurt as a child because it's too much. Well, when you're adults, you grow out of it. You grow out of those sensory neuropath issues. When it comes to us, though, we don't.
So, what are some of the initiatives or resources you can recommend for promoting autism advocacy?
Well, I definitely so I know a lot of people have their own beliefs with ABA clinics. I'm not either. I'm not against it, but I'm also not for it because I know it can be controlling. I trust me, I've done the research on it. But my view is also this: if it's helping your child out the right way, clearly, because I don't. If I was an ABA therapist, I want to make them, stand still at attention. I would let them be themselves, clearly. But ABA also be used for the right reasons. I know someone who definitely is not fit for a public school. Let me put it that way. He's just not fit for it.
Yeah.
But he can go to school at ABA therapy. If that's helping him and they're doing it right, I don't have a problem with it. Now, clearly, that may not be the best for everyone. It may be counseling. It might be another autism clinic that's not, labeled ABA or isn't ABA. There's someone in England right now I know. He's what's called a play therapist, and basically, I didn't know what a play therapist was. I think it's a pretty cool job actually. So they get to be big kids all day by playing all day, but he's also working on stuff. If that makes any sense. So clearly, they're working on social dynamics through play.
Okay. All right.
Pretty cool, if you say myself.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool. Um, how do you so how do you maintain a sense of self-empowerment and resilience amidst social stigmas? Because people they would say, "Oh, he's autistic," but to me, you're amazing. Like you're able to you have a great podcast, um, to be able to do public speaking. To me, that's an inspiring story. That's something that people should look at it and be like, man. But instead, you have people with these stigmatism looking at it like it's something wrong.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, but that's the problem. They think there's something wrong with us. No.
No.
In my view, we're different. Now, my mother has a view different than what because we're all disabled. I can agree with that. But truth be told, yes, I am different. Okay. I don't know anyone else that can talk about wrestling for 20 plus hours.
Well, I can talk for rest. I can talk wrestling for hours. I like I matter of fact, like I am a diehard wrestling fan.
Oh, I know. I believe you. But could you do it for 20
I can.
hours?
I just started I just started doing like I have a friend. I have a friend who has a wrestling podcast, and I'm trying to find a way like to make my schedule work so that I could be on this show talking wrestling, because that's something I enjoy doing. It was something it's one of my loves, and so to be able to do the show and find some way make time to do it is like, oh man.
Yeah. And that's something else too. With your time, really going back to advice, is in my opinion, find what makes you happy. I mean, and then you understand that this special interest, as much as I love wrestling and I want to have 20 hours, which can drive people crazy, I understand that. I'm not excusing because you need your sanity too. It needs to stay there. Okay? There's a reason why I like professional wrestling so much. Helped me out as my childhood. Got me through the times I got bullied. Helped me through the times where I thought, why are we doing this? Helped me through the times of, oh my gosh, public speaking. Because my first public speaking wasn't Podfest, it was in Oklahoma. And one of the ways I'm mentally prepped is music, which is clearly another special interest of mine, which is mainly rock and roll. But the point here is those wrestling theme songs were mainly the songs I listened to in my brain to mentally prep for the speech. Because if I didn't, I'd be a lot more nervous,
Yeah. Uh, so that's something like watching you do speak at Podfest and everything, and then speak at SJ Child's event and everything. It's inspired me and motivated me, because I've been really kind of holding myself back. Is public speaking, and seeing you do it, and everything that you do, it inspires me and shows me like, why am I so afraid to do this? And so I'm I actually applied for an event to speak at, so we'll see if it goes through.
yeah. I mean, you got, and if you're gonna, at least you gotta do too, you gotta pick your audience too. I mean, you can't pick them all, but me, I know mine
Yeah,
is mainly autism and mental health conferences and podcasting ones because clearly I run one. So
yeah,
that's another piece of advice I have for speakers is find your right audience. Don't, obviously, if you're an AI guy, don't do one that's not AI.
yeah. I can speak on podcasting, and I can speak on grief and everything. So it's these are certain things that are very I'm very passionate about, and so that's kind of reason why I do the podcast, is to be able to have people come on and share their stories, and hopefully inspire others to 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 do great things.
Oh, me too. That's why I do the podcast. Also, as I get to have people share their stories, but also I get to give them a platform that helps them out with their with what not with their what they are doing. I mean, clearly some of it's publicity. Duh. I mean, Mick Foley, he's doing a lot for
Yeah.
autism, but also because he's Mick Foley. But also, there's some on there that are not want to say unknown, who definitely have an audience, but I want to give them more of an audience.
Okay. So we had a couple of comments in there. Todd Verdell says, "Sam, my guy." Um, Mickey Delaney says, "Hi, Sam and Wise." Hey, Mickey, thanks for stopping by. And a friend of mine, Angela Castillo, just shared her heart, man. So, and one of the reasons I go live, right, is because of the comments and having people interact with the show. To me, it's I enjoy that so much more. Plus, it saves me on editing. I don't have to edit this show now because I'm going live and it saves me time.
Yeah, I like that. I'm the opposite guy of that one. I have to be an editor, or to me, the training that I did is probably part of it. I can't stand the dead spaces. I can't stand the ums. I can't stand the ands. When I hear it, I'm like, okay, let's make this sound better. Let's make this person's voice sound elevated, a lot more intelligent.
Oh no! Listen, that's a skill because when I first started, I was strictly audio podcasting. So I did edit my podcast. I would take out all the take out all the dead air, and it actually helped me develop a skill that I use now. So I edit other people's podcasts.
Yeah, hey, that works. I mean, can't make you a little money. And Mickey's comment, I gotta address that. There's no way I can't. To me, I cannot tell he has a disabled. Well, buddy, I'm not offended because you're not the first one who's told me that. But I'm going to be honest. Try putting me in front of a kitchen or a motorized vehicle, and then I think you'll change your mind on that one.
Yeah, no, I don't think Mickey meant anything by it. He's a good
I
guy,
didn't.
Mickey. Yeah,
He did. I can tell.
yeah, no.
I ain't offended. I had to address that comment because that's something I've been told before.
Yeah.
He's not the first to tell me.
Oh, he says I'm disabled myself. Oh, so, well, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's cool, man. I mean, it's definitely a big community. Not wrong there, bub.
yeah. Um. So, how do you envision the future of autism awareness and acceptance on a global scale?
On a global scale, I'm hoping it goes to the point where we don't have to deal with being ridiculed, and where it's at the point where we're accepting and not clearly having to have some of these documents or IEPs because, oh, he's having a meltdown. Okay, I know, example, in another country, it's still at the point where if you have a learning disability, visual impairment, or you're deaf, you don't go to school. They either make them stay home or they go to a special school.
Yeah,
Now,
like
clearly,
make
we're
it up
not
to.
like that, but I hope we get to a point where one, that country can go where we are, but
Yeah,
also to a point where we should have to explain ourselves why we are doing this. I mean, I get why we need the IEPs. I totally get that. But it needs to be IEP. Here you go. Go do it. Now, clearly, there's definitely some great people out there. I've always used a resource room my whole entire life. I didn't have to really explain myself. And then there's some communities that are better than others. I have a great community, thankfully. But then there's some that are still in that phase of, no, he's not. It's denial. He doesn't have ADHD. Oh, it's the old school generation. Or, oh, it's he's being a bad kid. No, that's not the case at all. There's a reason behind it. Now, some, you're probably right. But there are also lots of out there who are not trying to portray that kid on purpose.
yeah, definitely. What is what message would you like to convey to parents and educators and allies of individuals with autism?
So for parents wise, I mean, I'm not a person who lies. I'm very truthful. These some of these stuff you read online because when you go online and research, it says basically autism is death sentence. Be prepared for some hard days. You'd be lucky if your child would survive in the world, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, partially, not saying all, but to a point, they're right. You are going to have some hard days. Yes, they're going to struggle socially, but again, why is online not looking at, oh, he may struggle socially, but once he works on motorcycles, it clicks. Why not looking at the fact that, oh my gosh, they could be wonderful at puzzles and they could do something with puzzles in 20 years?
Yeah, yeah, I feel you on that. I definitely feel you on that because it, again, it's to see Prince at work. It's amazing. It's he and it's like he'll figure out a puzzle quicker than me. Like, and he's 6 years old, and I'm like, okay. So it's not, and he's very intelligent. He is very intelligent. Eh, So when people be like, "Oh, he's disabled," I'm like, "No, he's not. He's gifted.
Yeah,
He's
there is a real big gift if you look beyond the surface.
yeah. He is gifted. He is very gifted, and yes, he's where kids are learning to speak 2, 3 years old. My other grandson Bryson he's speaking 2, 3 years old. Prince is 6 years old, still learning how to speak. But there's some things that he is he just knows. He's just so intelligent.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, non-speaking doesn't mean stupid. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
it don't.
I mean,
It doesn't.
it doesn't mean that he doesn't understand nothing. I know a guy's probably like your son almost. He's a father, but his son is probably I think 35 or over. He's an adult. I mean, he's definitely older than your son. Let me put it that way. But he's not. He doesn't speak, but he doesn't understand. But he understands stuff.
Yeah,
Let me put it that way.
yeah. My grandson definitely my grandson definitely
He knows
understands
what
stuff.
popcorn is. That's gonna put it.
Uh, so are there any books or films or other medias that you think would help provide some kind of understanding of autism, or if people could read up or watch or
Oh boy. I think it's all circumstantial, depending on the way you look at it. When you portray mental health or autism in the media, you better be pretty careful on how you do it. I think there should definitely be some truth to it, but there should also be some, don't forget the positive side too. Look at movies like Rain Man, Forrest Gump. In my view, they're showing just this is the negativity, here you go. No, needs to be here's the negativity. Oh, here's the positive stuff too. Here you go. Movies like Temple have done really well with that, in my opinion. I think The Good Doctor, he's done pretty well on that one.
yeah.
So you got to look at how are they portraying it. But in my opinion, the best one that has portrayed autism is Temple. I'm not talking about Temple Grandin, the person. There is a person who is named Temple Grandin, but there's also a movie called Temple Grandin.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out. I'm definitely gonna check that out and watch that. So how can how do you get your community and your listeners involved in what you're doing?
Well, the Facebook page, the one you joined clearly, that's one way I do it. But the way I get them involved is I try to do everything in my power to get them to come to these events, these speaking engagements, these episodes. I try to get them there because at the end of the day, my podcast is a resource. At the end of the day, these speaking engagements and events are a resource to show people, hey, I am on the autism spectrum, but here's what I can do. I may not be able to understand completely a conversation where it's talking about pepperoni pizza and the next minute electric guitars, but yet I can plan or help out at least a big summer fest and come up with the idea of having two local musicians and raise money.
Okay, all right, definitely. Mickey said he was born with bifibia, but I can walk it and talk. Oh
Yeah, I
man.
know that. I know spina bifida as well too. My best friend has it. But he's wheelchair bound, and he's definitely one of a character too. He's another inspiring guy, but I definitely know that uh, condition real well.
Mm. Well, well, thank you, Mickey, for sharing your story, man. I greatly appreciate it. Maybe I'll have you come on the show and talk about it as well, man. And that's why, again, this is why I love the show, man. Is to be able to talk with individuals like yourself and have you share your story, man, because people need to learn. People need to see that um people with autism, they're like everyone else.
They are like everyone else, man. They're great stuff they can do. And
Mhm.
let's look at history. I know it says in the last episode too. Did it different change the world? I mean, look at Albert Einstein, Bill Gates, Temple Grandin, and there's another theory that I can probably share with my guest. She thought the people back in time frame who were taking islands and saying, "Hey, let's go do something," either had autism or ADHD.
Mm.
The historical figures that were bored did something, yet we know them today.
Yeah,
So why are we getting ridiculed in a sense if we're just bored and wanting to do something bigger than ourselves?
absolutely, absolutely. It's crazy because our friend SJ Child, Sarah Bradford, um everyone in her family is on the spectrum, and she was just recently, within the last couple of years, diagnosed with being on the spectrum, and she's
Yeah, and I
phenomenal.
find that crazy. Part of me wonders where, with her in particular, where did that come from? I already wonders if it's, did you get autism after you got married into autism? Is it hereditary? I just find that one of the craziest stories alive.
Yeah, but for for many years, people didn't really know what autism was, or how people so for her now to be diagnosed such late in life, man, it just goes to show you that maybe back in, even within the last 20 years, people didn't really know how to deal with it, or didn't know what was the cause of autism.
Right. And another way we improve too is there's classes that
Yeah.
show it too. I have a friend who wants to be a speech pathologist, and I don't know if she had to take it, if it was required or not. I'm not for sure, or if it was 11 night for sure. But one of her classes they told me they were taking was understanding autism.
Mm.
So I was like, go girl on that one.
Oh man, but Sam, this has been great, man. I appreciate you coming on the show, brother.
Yeah, not a problem. I mean, we've definitely seen each other interact with each other. I thought, well, then I better come on somehow.
But now is this part of the show where you get the solo screen and you get to plug away the podcast, every event you got coming up, everything.
All right, let's see what we can do. All right, so things coming up. Let's see. So in February, we'll be in Austin, Texas with the retreat. The biggest thing is I get a private shed. No, I'm kidding. That's not the biggest thing. But in all seriousness, I learned hopefully more how to speak. I think I have a kindness and gratitude summit coming up very soon. I know in February, Indianapolis has a special needs magazine, and I was the front cover and center on that one. We'll probably have our gala in April, trying to still find a speaker. And then summertime, we'll probably have our Summerfest still. That's going on. But if I get a moment of the solo screen time, I guess something else I can share is certain bullying stories. So my bullying stories were not really in the front in the face where you got kicked in the shins at 9 a.m. each morning. Mine were mainly behind the back, getting excluded, dealing with stereotyping. And these are the stories I got to that made me who I am today. So the first one is I call getting jabbed in the back with pencils story. So sixth grade and assembly. Okay, I don't mind that at all. We weren't allowed to move where we were sitting because you don't want to talk to your friends. They want you to pay attention to the assembly. And clearly, I was fine sitting where I was at. And I would have been if I knew that I would have been if I didn't get stabbed in the back with pencils for no apparent reason. I was literally just sitting there trying to pay attention to the assembly. And then some other stories I've had was this one's a professional wrestling one, so why not mention it? It was I call it Look at Sam's story. So the story with this one was we were in a DC trip. I went to Washington DC. Definitely a fun trip if you're a nerd like me. And one of the things they did have though that wasn't museum, it was a spirit cruise. It's like a cruise you visit on some historical river. I can't remember which river it is, unfortunately. But they had a dance floor, and clearly I didn't want to dance, not because I'm not a dancer, not because I didn't care to. I would have done it probably at home. It's just that I know my certain classmates were very judgy as a whole. Not saying one person in particular, as a whole they were. Well, yet somehow I got my butt dragged on there. And I thought it'd be cool. Let's see if I can do this hand thing that AJ Styles does, which he always goes down here and he shakes his hand out. I thought that was pretty cool. Just me, I'm like simple, like Triple H spitting water out. Pretty cool. Hand thing with AJ. Pretty cool. Well, I do it. And I hear out of the corner of my ear, look at Sam. And it wasn't like, oh my God, look at Sam. Blah, blah, blah. It wasn't like flirtatious or anything like that. It was like, look at Sam. He's a complete idiot. I know that's what it felt like because I could see with facial expressions, body language, etc., etc. And those stories, though, have definitely made me want to do this. I'll tell you that much.
Awesome. So to let them know where they can find the podcast, your website, everything, because I know you and your mom also have a foundation and everything. Can you tell a little bit something about that as well?
Yeah, so the nonprofit is Autism Rock Roll Corporation. It's where we have the events, the speaking engagements, we have merchandise, mainly T-shirts. I won't lie to you on that one. We also have what else we have? Speaking engagements coming up. I know the retreat. I know I'll be having probably the gala soon. I think in March I'll be a vendor for Indianapolis's big midtown wrestling expo called the Squared Circle Expo. You like professional wrestling, I highly recommend going there. You'll definitely meet some pretty cool people. And then let's see what else I have coming up. I might have a conference in the summer. I mean, there's a lot going on, my friend. And then we're also in the process of making an Autism Rock Rolls database that will hopefully grow into a big database, clearly. And then I always have neat stuff going on. Sometimes I'll do mock speeches. I know I had one in December because I didn't really have any booked in December, so I wanted to still do one. So I did a mock speech.
Awesome, man. Awesome. But Sam, thank you for being a guest, man. I greatly appreciate it. Are you going to Podfest next month?
So the kicker is I want to definitely go again because I haven't skipped out on the Podfest daily. Don't get me wrong on that one. Yeah. It's just that I get swamped as crap sometimes, and it's harder too in college because now I am in college. When we met, I wasn't, but I am now, and I'm actually out of my house. Kind of. Right now I'm home because it's Christmas break.
Yeah.
But I live in a dorm mainly to study for broadcasting. What I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also a little bit harder when you live an hour away from your mother and father.
Awesome, man. But thank you so much, man, for being a guest. I greatly appreciate it.
Not a problem, brother. Thank you for having me on. Great to see some of the people listening, like Facebook user, let's call you that, and Mickey.
Yeah, Facebook the first Facebook user that said Sam, my guy, is a friend of mine, Todd Verdell. He was actually one of my he was like one of my first guests on my podcast when I started a few years ago. And then the one with the heart is actually a childhood friend of mine. I've known her since kindergarten. She's like one of my oldest friends, Angela. So shout out to Angela. And Mickey goes, this was an awesome show, Sam. God bless you for coming on here and opening up to Wise. Thank you, thank you, Mickey, for coming through, man. Appreciate it, man. You've ever since you've learned about the show, you've been one of the key guys that's here every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I greatly appreciate the support, man. But Sam, if you want to give a shout out to anyone, anything else you want to say before you leave?
Well, thank you for again having me on, Liza. It was definitely great being here. And if you want to find me, you can find me at autismrocksrolls.com. I appreciate whatever you can do. Even if you're not a person who's going to listen to every episode, just please check out one. That's what I always request. The mission of Autism Rocks and Rolls sticks the same. One person listens one time, I'm happy. I'm not a guy who asks for much, just who I am. But also, in my opinion, my final piece of advice, I always say this on podcasts because I think it's just true. If the world could be nice and not maybe act so stupid, I think we get along so much better.
Yeah, and that's what kind of Mickey was saying earlier, was a world that's not so judgmental.
I agree.
That would be great. A world that's not so judgmental.
I agree. I'll tell you this much. I've lived my best life when I don't judge.
Absolutely. But don't leave just yet, Sam. Let me close out the show. I mean, you can chat a little bit off the air, but it's been great having you on the show, brother. All right. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. Mickey, Facebook user Todd, Angela for stopping by. Greatly appreciate it. Everybody on Instagram, whoever checked us out on Instagram, greatly appreciate it. As always, big shout out to my Real Wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Happy birthday, Brandy. Big shout out to the boss lady. Appreciate and love you. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless you. Be safe. You know how your boy Wise does it. Peace out.